Welcome to Roll for Review, where we are going to look at the very best in tabletop RPG crowdfunding. This week is a very special episode because we are not just looking at the best Kickstarter projects, we are specifically looking at zines. ZINEQUEST 3 is live on Kickstarter in February, and we are 9 days into February and have already seen over 150 zine projects launch, and we have looked at all of them, and we have each chosen 10 projects that we're going to look at. But I want to tell you really quickly, if you don't know what ZineQuest is a program that Kickstarter started where they're asking RPG creators or creatives or anything to create a very simple A5 size or smaller stapled booklet, right? Just simple paper, however many pages you want, booklet with whatever you want to create in it. Super cheap to make, super cheap to ship, and super cheap to put on Kickstarter. So they are basically imploring any kind of creator to bring their idea to life, put it on Kickstarter. They encourage people that are content consumers to go on, pick 5, 6, 7. I mean, most of these things that we're going to talk about only cost $5 or $10 at the most. So you can back a lot of cool content for a very cheap amount. But we're going to talk about the 30 projects that we want to highlight today.
Absolutely. And who are we?
Right.
Good question, Alex.
I'm Joe, the creator of The Wanderer's Guide. I help manufacture, produce, and fulfill board games and tabletop Kickstarter projects for a living.
I'm Hannah, also known as Halfling Hannah. I'm a forever DM and a DM resource creator over on YouTube, Patreon, and on my website, halflinghobbies.com.
And I am Alex. I am a designer and marketer for The Wanderer's Guide, an everyday gamer and RPG player.
And together we are Roll for Review. This is a live stream where the three of us gather TTRPG related Kickstarters like a goblin collects shiny rocks and presents them to you. In this case, we have gobbled up 150 zines, and we've gone through literally all of them, and each one of us has picked 10. We are going to give you just a really quick elevator speech where we're trying to convince each other to actually support these zines. And so we'll give you 2-minute spiel and then a thumbs up, thumbs down review. And at the very, very end, we're going to pick our ultimate favorites, that if we only had to back one, this is the one that we would pick.
Yep. It's going to be very quick, but very exciting, and we're going to see lots and lots of different zines ahead, so make sure you are taking notes if you would like. For those of you who perhaps maybe missed a past episodes, or perhaps are seeing this in the middle of an episode or wherever, this is also, all of our episodes are available on YouTube right after they are done airing, and they will be on our Twitch stream for 2 weeks after live streaming as well. So I think we should just jump right into it, and
we got a lot to cover.
We have a lot to cover. So, Joe?
2 minutes. I'm going to count myself down before we get started, all right? But
this is a real challenge for you.
Yep.
My goal is to sell you guys on the idea of the project. So, 3, 2, 1. The very first project that I want to talk about is a really unique, very indie project called 2 Summers. What 2 Summers is a role-playing game. It is a diceless RPG where you play a group of teenagers in the 1990s, early 2000s that go on an epic adventure of a lifetime. And then 30 years later, as adults, you all come back together and realize the adventure is not finished. So what this is because it is this is a game that doesn't really have like a GM or anything like that. It doesn't really have like a dice. You're basically all creating characters that have personal concerns, character traits that are based upon, your own, how you're creating your character. And then there is just a difficulty for everything you want to do that's a 1 through 5. And based on how your skills can attribute to what you're basically giving, anything that you can't accomplish, you're going to add complications, which will be put into the story that you kind of have to work through. So this is a very narrative type of game versus a very rules-heavy game. So this is something where you're really trying to tell this collaborative story. What they're giving you, though, is they're giving you all of the rules, they're giving you all of the stuff that you need for character creations, and they're giving you 25 subplots that you can use to launch your game. If you're like, well, what kind of game do I play with this? They give you like 25, but here's what I'm thinking. It's It. This is literally the plot of the movie It with Pennywise the Clown, okay? Other thing, this is E.T., except you come back and realize the aliens have returned. You could do E.T. with this. You could do Stranger Things. You could do Goonies. You could do so many of those like childhood kids on bikes, so much stuff. But I love the concept of like having to put your character into a childhood state and then into an adult state. I love it so much. This is a really cool project. 2 summers. I think that just the concept is unique, and playing through it would be a lot of fun with a group of people. So, all right, I'm done. So what we're all gonna do is I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna thumbs up or thumbs down if we think this is a cool idea. Have I sold it enough to Alex and Hannah? So 3, 2, 1.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I love those plot points.
Yep. 90s. How can I not?
It's the kids on bikes showing that they're gonna get into some hijinks, perhaps with some killer clowns or dimensional beings.
No. We're gonna go look for pirates. That's what we're. No. Stop. It's not happening. Ugh. Moving on.
Moving on to the next one. We got to keep going.
Moving
Hannah,
on to
you
mine.
are up.
My first one is Rascals, and I first clicked on this because I thought, ooh, Little Rascals RPG. Nope, this takes you into outer space, which if you know me, you know that I am a fan of those science fiction type role-playing games. So this is an interesting system because it uses playing cards and poker chips within the game. So when you're trying to do something, essentially you have to draw cards and you have to have the higher card than your GM. And the DC or the challenge rating is set by which cards that the DM draws. So for an easy, they take 2 and take the lower one. For a medium, they just draw 1. And for a hard, they draw 2 and they take the higher one. And they can play whichever one that they want. So there's this cool kind of gambling aspect to it where you really don't know if you're going to succeed at something or not. It's literally up to fates. And what this is that you play as X special forces. You can be spies, you can be crooks. You're the hard-boiled types who got through the hottest zones during a former unpleasantness. And you're some of the few who managed to make it out and make a new life, but something has happened to change all of that. So you all have to get together again. You rascals who survived the bloody final years of a terrible war have been pulled back because an abominable plot is unfolding. And that is Rascals.
Wow,
so,
in a minute 20.
I got this elevator speech, man. I got this. So, tell me, my dear friends, did I sell you on Rascals? Hands up. 3, 2, 1. Oh, you don't want to be like Space Cowboys?
I'm iffy on it. I think
you gotta vote for your own too, because it's gonna be a majority thing, right?
Oh yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. So we got 2 out of 3.
Yeah. So mine is gonna be a little bit different. So, as lifetime DMs, or newer DMs who have not had the opportunity to play yet, as a non-DM, what I'm gonna talk about is the Power Words engine. And what the Power Words engine is a limitless alternative to your tabletop RPG's spell list. And this is what you can introduce to your players to create an entire new way to cast spells. Now, instead of just saying, I'm going to do this, and it's this, and I roll this, and this is what happens. Now, the Power Words engine is a custom magic spell generation tool to replace the spell list of your favorite tabletop system. So what it is it utilizes things such as by combining magic words of power to create harmony. And each word of power matches up to make that spell more powerful. So they have to use certain words to be able to make their spells more powerful. So for example, fire is an evocation and orb is a conjuration. And you have to match up certain words to create harmony, whether they be analogant, dissonant. things like that. And it goes into super detail about how those match up and how you can add more points to have more damage. So around the table, you can say, okay, who's casting what spell? You have to use these words. The power depends on how you are acting into this role and utilizing these words of power. For example, I'm going to cast Orb of Fire. And based on these points, Orb of Fire has a 4 harmony. So that 4 harmony is that level of damage defined by you, the DM. Since Orb of Fire is a volume, a sphere, spend 1 harmony on range, and you actually develop all of these trees that allow you to level up your spells based on the words you know. So now we have a custom spell called Orb of Fire. It's a skeleton of a spell with Power Words Engine. The full text of the zine will help you fill out more details and determine how exactly you would cast it in your system of choice. So it describes all of these ways to utilize words and actually speak during your campaign, so you never know.
2 minutes.
Okay. Did I sell you on words of, on the Power Words Engine? 3, 2, 1. Oh, no.
It's too much.
It sounds like a
complicated.
Sounds like a nightmare for a DM.
Yeah, and because do I as a DM have to know how all of those go together? So when my players say something, it's like, that's not in harmony. You can't do that.
That's
Plus,
fair.
it's a lot of math. Holy
That's
cow,
fair.
that was a lot of math. Like, just listening to you, I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
That's
I mean,
very
on
fair.
the other-
No, can I just say one thing though? That would be awesome for those like the power hungry players that love the numbers and how to maximize everything. They would love that. So there is a niche of D&D players that would love that.
Fair, very fair.
And I'm going to go into mine, which
All
is
right.
isometric blanks. This is a really cool zine quest because it is just a bunch of blank isometric maps. And I can't tell you how much I love isometric maps more than any other type of map. Like, I could just Google image search isometric D&D maps all day and just click through image after image after image. I think it's such fun way to visualize how maps look, and such a better, than just a regular top down. I think that they're really cool and creative. So what this creator is doing is he's making a bunch of different zines that have different types of isometric maps in them with different layouts. But the beautiful thing is he's only giving you the outline and the rest of it is blank. And the reason that is because it's a zine that you can write in to put whatever you want in this. So you can write in the margins and draw little arrows and put little icons and stuff in there. So as the DM, you can just have these blank maps and turn them into whatever you want. So I might look at this and be like, oh, this is obviously going to be a cavern where a bunch of goblins live. But then Hannah could, as a DM, take the same map and turn it into a coven of moon druids who have kidnapped one of the players. All of this is completely available. If you scroll down, you can see some of the imagery of how some of this stuff might look and different ideas for what rooms could look like if you drew this in. And you don't have to come up with the map concept yourself. It's a completely big book of just blank isometric drawings that you just use to scribble on and draw stuff, and I'm so into that. I would love to just get this as something that you could just doodle on, because I can't do the isometric drawings, but I can put little icons and write little notes in. I just think this is just the coolest thing. Bunch of blank isometric maps. I love it so much. 3, 2, 1. Yeah,
I think it's useful.
There you go. I think it's very useful. That sounds great.
Yeah.
As a designer and artist myself, I would love to utilize this book all the time. For if I ever became a DM, I would use this for all of the skeletons of all of my maps. This is what I would use to plan all of my maps.
Yeah, for sure. You can, and it's so small and compact. You can literally put it in your binder and doodle in it whenever you feel like prepping. Love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, my next one is Weird Wood. So we're gonna get a little weird, a little creepy here, because feeding on dreams, emotions, and inner darkness of humanity, the Weird Wood is a primordial forest that grows just beyond perception. Its roots spread into every corner of the world, and the stuff of nightmares lingers in the shadows of its ancient trees. Sometimes a persistent branch finds its way into the material realm, pushing through cracks in abandoned buildings and blooming in dark alleyways. sometimes something else comes through. So what happens is in this world, your players are playing as this ancient order that is tasked with stopping the weird wood from permeating into the material realm and stopping those who might use its powers for evil. So this is a really fun collaborative dice pool system. So the DM has their own pool of dice. The players have a pool of dice that they actually use, and they will take dice from the pool for specific actions. And there are ways that you can get dice back into that. So it's a really fun little system. It's got 32 pages. I could only imagine that the art is going to be creepy and super cool in this when we get it. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is that their stretch goal at $800 is a soundtrack. So they're looking to do a weird wood soundtrack that I think would just be really, really cool to have as a part of this. I am seeing this as like one of the perfect campaigns for around Halloween time. Or if you just prefer the macabre and a little bit creepy, I think this is an excellent, very creative, and super fun zine that kind of has like Inception feels to it. Or if you played Persona, this has definitely a Persona 5 vibe to it, and I absolutely love it. And that is 2 minutes. So, hands up, did I sell you on the weird wood? 3, 2, 1. Heck yes, right? It sounds so cool.
Sold. Well, I'm taking us into outer space with a little bit of a property you might be aware of, and this one is called Rebel Scum, the anti-fascist space opera RPG zine, an explicitly anti-fascist RPG about a war in the stars. Told in dice and a unique action figure style, powered by Polymorph. So essentially is a cinematic RPG about a war in the stars inspired by a deep love of old school action figures of punching Nazis in the face. That is the first sentence, okay? Created with Polymorph rules, Rebel Scum is a fast-paced, feel-good space opera adventure game about rebellion against a callous and evil government. Over the last few years, there's been a startling rise in the numbers of people that are willing to spew hate. These people believe in, white power and the fill with the internet with nativist, racist, fascist crap. Now, these are their words. I am reading their description. They're making Rebel Scum as a way to rediscover the roots of the original message of how anti-fascist heroes can fight back against a horrible government like Star Wars with an unlimited power. It's absolutely awesome. Characters are all expressed as action figures, so it looks like those old action figure packs, all of your character sheets. There are 5 character aspects: the Ronin, the Revolutionary, the Rogue, the Renegade, and the Robot. The game rewards you with stars when you punch Nazis in the face. And you can use all those stars to do cinematic things in the game. Like bullseye a rat womp, swing across a chasm, and cut off an annoying creeper's arm in a bar. So it's based on the Polymorph system, which is designed by 9th Level Games, and it uses mazes, business wizards, basis of numbers of ZINEQUEST 3 offerings, including the Very Good Dogs of Chernobyl, Savage Sisters, Mimic Madness, and many more. There's a ton more going into the description of Polymorph that is less about the zine, but I believe the story itself sounds absolutely amazing. It's based off of something I love, Star Wars. It definitely sounds like it, at least, with a little bit of a more aggressive twist to it. I know there's some colorful language in there, but that is going to be Rebel Scum, the anti-fascist space opera RPG zine. What do we think? 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
I'm in. This reminds me of the genre of movie that was all about like the Red Scare stuff, like Indiana Jones. Like they all fought the fascists. They all fought Nazis, right? So it kind of has that feel to it, which is super fun.
Fly spaceships, punch Nazis. That's
Love
all we
it.
want to do.
It's the American dream, man.
The American dream. All right. Okay. Back to Joe.
So I've got one that I'm super pumped about. Okay, ready? The Docks of Casswarren, a legacy city guide and Fight Club Arena, which is 2 different zines. But I want to focus on what the Docks of Castwarren are, and I'll try to hit on Fight Club Arena if I can. So the Docks of Castwarren is this beautifully illustrated map of the city, of this like huge port city with like all of these different locations in it. And what the beautiful thing is, there are 16 unique locations that they point out in this, and each of these 16 locations will have 3 different choices for you to make when you visit that location that will drastically alter your story that you're building for your players. So you might go to like the armor, to the weapons shop, and maybe it's a front for like an illegal, illicit, like black market type of thing. Maybe it's this old man who's like wanting to like set up a new guild of warriors to like destroy his ancient foes and stuff like that. So basically you're getting so much stuff in here. There are 16 unique locations, 48 different story hooks based on those locations. And so the way that you put your city together is going to give you over 10,000 different combinations. This is beautiful for a brand new DM who like isn't ready to start world building everything himself, where he can just say, hey, here's the 16 locations, and then he gets prompts for what to do with each of them. But I love how robust and cool this system is. I love the idea of creating a legacy city. And then there is a separate RPG called Fight Club Arena, which is literally like this really quick RPG about you, a human, fighting a bunch of monsters in a giant fighting club arena gladiator style, where you're just like paired up one-on-one against these beasts and have this like solo RPG experience. Love it so much. I'm actually in this for Docks of Castwarren. I think that's a really cool system. I would love to like take this city and put it into my own campaign, but that is my zine. 1 minute 57 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, for
Sounds
sure.
good.
For sure. Sounds awesome. And I've done gladiator pits and fight pits and stuff in my campaigns, and they are a player pleaser. They love that stuff. And they also get some cool nicknames from it, which is fun. We have a lizard killer now in ours. Hold on. So it's National Pizza Day. Did you guys know this?
Did not know it's National
It's
Pizza Day.
it's National Pizza Day, and so Pizza Hut is running a special, in case you wanted to know, for a stuffed crust pizza. We're not
watching.
sponsored by Pizza Hut, but you
Pizza
know.
Hut, we would
But-
welcome.
Hey,
welcome.
I would be so fat.
All I want to say is Roll for Review cannot be bought. Okay? We cannot be bought.
We cannot be
will not
bought,
become-
but we'll take free pizza. It's not going to affect anything, but we'll still take it.
No,
It's
we are
really
not
good
servant
pizza.
to the corporate overlord.
But
Roll for Review
National
cannot
Pizza
be
Day.
bought.
Yeah, no.
I will
But
take free
maybe
pizza.
certain members of Roll for Review could be bought with lots of pizza. Just okay.
It can't be bought. I'm just gonna eat it. All
You heard
right.
it
All
here.
right.
If you want a good review, send pizza to Hannah.
Send pizza.
There you go.
We'll give 20s for
review
pizza.
For pizza. Yes. Most definitely.
Pizza for review.
Okay, so I have a fun one. My next one's a really fun one. So here we go. The 13th Fleet is my next one. We're going to space again. There's a lot of space zines in this one, but this one is specifically a dark humor one. So I love the description. The 13th Fleet is forged in the dark, lighthearted, occasionally cooperative role-playing experience where captains and their highly expendable crew desperately battle, pillage, and backstab their way home through enemy space. So what is most interesting about this is that this is not cooperative. This is all about treachery and backstabbing the other players at the table who are also captains, and only one of you will be promoted to admiral by the end of this game. So either one of you gets promoted to admiral or everyone ends up dying in the cold vacuum of space. Those are your 2 options, which is incredibly fun. So this has total Star Trek vibes to it, which I'm a huge Trekkie. I love Star Trek. But it specifically says in here that you send exceptionally expendable red shirts to gather supplies for the
That'll do it.
fleet. Yep. So you're a captain, and you're essentially going through space. So the 13th Fleet is where this Space Federation sent all of their most useless recruits. And so when they had this giant battle, of course, it was the 13th Fleet that was the first one to run away. They went through a jump gate and got sent into subspace, and now it is up to you to find your way home. This whole zine is hilarious. If you go through this page, it's absolutely hilarious, the things that you can do with this. And of course, there are tons of DM resources to help you out with creating scenarios and doing all of that. But overall, this is just a really unique and different role play where we see a lot of, hey, work together, you're a party, you're figuring things out. This is all about backstabbing. So tell me, my friends, did I sell you?
At a minute 59. That is good timing.
Thank you. So, hands up. Did I sell you on the 13th Fleet? 3, 2, 1.
This is good. This looks great.
So good.
It's the Among Us video game too.
Yes, it is totally the Among Us. They've smashed their goal, by the way. So if you want to get in on that, there'll be payoff there. But it literally, look at the 13th Fleet. It looks hilarious. It looks so good.
All right, that was awesome. I'm going to take us into a game of weird conspiracy called Project 8 Ball. Project 8 Ball is a highly secretive government organization founded in the year redacted by redacted. Though the organization's original purpose was redacted, the mission evolved over time, gradually developing into its current agenda. The redacted, in charge of Project 8 Ball, know that the world is a shadowy cesspool of mystery and madness. Aliens, cryptids, parahumans, time-traveling, space gods, angels, redacted, all of it's real. But none of it fits into the average person's view of reality. Project 8 Ball is dedicated to dealing with this threat by maintaining baseline consensus reality. Okay? Dangerous, esoteric elements must be investigated and resolved. So, Project 8 Ball, it's an RPG game of mystery and conspiracy inspired by the works of David Lynch, Grant Morrison, and Philip Dick. Like the novels, Project 8 Ball revolves around two questions: what's real and what's the nature of identity? Players explore the questions by playing mentally altered, existentially damaged agents of normalcy in a world of endless weirdness. Project 8 Ball uses game mechanics designed by Steve Johnson, the designer behind the QAGS and Cinemechanics systems. The game includes an overview, rules for character creation, rules of action resolution, a full adventure, the stab imperative, and rules for the rotating game master system. So the core game mechanic is roll 2 dice and try to hit a target number. And what type of dice they are will depend on your character's skills and specific situation. But it's really all about, there's also a whole system that encourages every player to take equal ownership of the game. So the ownership rotates throughout the entire system. It's so hard, it's hard to explain, but the story itself had me so gripped. The art is so amazing. And it just, the nature of it in and of itself really just sounds like I'm going to go insane playing it. And I'm going to stop it there. All right. What do we think? 3, 2, 1.
I don't know. I'm
You're
intrigued.
right.
I'm intrigued, but I don't know.
So here's the thing. They didn't go into a ton of deep detail on this page of how it physically plays.
Yeah.
I
like the rotating DM idea. I think that's cool.
It sounds like X-Files, and I've never watched X-Files.
Yeah, so essentially the story itself is what got me with this, but it's really hard because I don't exactly know how it's going to play. And just the idea gripped me enough, but I completely understand that you are halfway on this. Maybe that's something that they can look into, is including a little bit more of gameplay. Because
mystery is good, but to a certain degree, like you don't want too much because you want to have some idea of what you're doing. And I love the idea of being like compromised mentally, so everything's
You never know what's
unsure.
real.
It goes back to that unreliable narrator thing, which can be super fun, but also can just be as confusing as heck. So I'm on the fence about that one.
Yeah, I think just one thing to end it with this is that when you are working on a Kickstarter like this, especially with such short form things like zines, it's really important to look at that list of top things. What is it? How do you play it? How much is it going to cost? I think those are the top 3 things, and I think that's just what they're missing is how do you play it? And I think there needed to be a little bit more there. So right now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have a little bit of announcement from one of our friends, one of our announcers here, and she might be the one eating pizza, and I'm very jealous, and it looks delicious. We're going to catch our breath from this really quick running around, going through some zines, and we'll be back in about a minute. See you then.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Roll for Review. We got a bunch more projects, a bunch more zines that we're looking at. So I'm up and I'm gonna get my timer started right now. Bucket of Bolts, a solo RPG zine. Now here is the thing. A solo RPG is kind of basically a writing exercise or journaling exercise, but this is the best one that I have ever seen. So what it is it is a game of iconic spaceships and their infamous captains for one player. So you know all of these spaceships, the Bebop, the Serenity, the Millennium Falcon, all of these, they're not pristine spaceships. They're not the Enterprise. These are the rusty buckets of bolts that are in the far corners of the galaxy that are trading hands over card games and like in being stolen from one place or another. You cannot have a good space story without an iconic spaceship, all right? And these are going to be so much cool stuff that you can do with this. You're going to create the spaceship. You're going to write the story of who owned it, multiple owners, new parts and upgrades that were given to, missions that it has been on, captains that have been in charge of it, people that have boarded it, invasions, battles, space operas, all of these things, but you're writing it from the perspective of the spaceship that you're creating. So you are dreaming up an iconic spaceship out of the depths of your inner childhood memories, being just awe-inspired, and you get to tell that spaceship story. Think about all of the iconic scenes. Think about waiting all of that time to see a new Star Wars movie and seeing that Millennium Falcon and just that swelling in your chest. Going back and visiting the interior of the Serenity after those awful people canceled Firefly. These are the spaceships that you're creating. These are the wholesome environments where you get to fill with characters and missions and all kinds of creative, amazing things. I am so excited about this one. So, Bucket of Bolts, a solo RPG zine. Do you want to create your own spaceship? 3, 2, 1.
Of course I do.
Whoa, Hannah!
It seems like a lot of work. And I'm someone who's like, I know the Star Wars like lore, you know what I mean? So I can't just make it. It's already there, you know? I don't know. I know. I'm sorry. And I knew as soon as you said you were so excited, I was like, I'm gonna hurt him and I don't want to. But it's not my favorite one. I can totally see how people would be super excited about that though. Don't let it take away from that. Write your story, Joe. Write your story.
I will.
Write your story.
I'm gonna name my spaceship the Hannah, and it's gonna blow up.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
This
I'm
kind of
not
reminds
gonna
me.
feel bad about my next thumbs down.
It kind of reminds me of the Galaxy Trucker tabletop game, where you're just grabbing parts and just making like some hunk of junk shit.
Love it. I love it so much.
All right, and this is probably gonna ruin me. We were talking at break about how my next ones were tough sells, and now Joe's for sure. He's like not gonna listen to me. He's just thumbs down. It's over. No chance. Okay, my next one. Starting the timer. Here we go. The Witch, the Wolf, and the Wedding. This is a storytelling RPG specifically. And by storytelling, it means that the story is all that matters. This is a one-session RPG where you take turns taking charge of the narrative. And this can be a cautionary, sad tale, where everything goes amiss, or this can be a happy ending kind of tale, depending on the story that you all create. And this story can change over time. So this is like classic fantasy. Think like, almost said Hans Zimmer. Not Hans Zimmer, but the classic fairy tales. The woods are deep and they are dark, and you've been sent into their depths to complete a task by the sunset of the third day. Will you succeed? Or will the things your mother warned you about take over you? The Witch, the Wolf, and the Wedding is a one-session tabletop RPG for 2 to 3 players. Players will take on the role of a child, a maiden, or a knave, trying to survive the challenges set by their narrator alongside the dangers of the woods. So you use tokens and pawns to kind of decide who's the narrator at the time, and you're literally just telling this story together, and you at different points. And it is weird. It is an odd concept, but at the same time, it's its oddness that kind of makes it super intriguing. This is a much smaller setting, so I have 6 players, I think, in each of my D&D campaigns. This is for a much smaller group, so like 3 people telling a very intimate tale and like just getting to be creative together. This is like creative vibes, going off of one another and creating a story. So, did I sell you? I know this is a hard sell, but did I sell you on The Witch, the Wolf, and the Wedding? Thumbs up, thumbs down in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I knew it was a weird one. I knew it was a weird one, but I like the concept.
No, I think it is interesting. I think if you have the right people for it, I think it would be great. I think it's like right on the edge where if you're not into it, then it's gonna just kind of be like,
this isn't something that you just introduce a brand new RPG player to. No, this is like 3 DMs who really want to just like jive together, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of those.
Completely get that.
Interesting though.
Not one of Joe's favorites.
And you knew it would happen because I
thumbs
down the starship. That's why. You don't have to say anything. We know, Joe. It's fine.
It's not payback. It's not.
It's not payback. All right, I'm going to take us to a completely new place, a completely different place, and
let's start this off, shall we? When your strange captain believes they have discovered the legendary island of Gallows End, you and the former crew of the Camorra must decide whether or not to follow them into the path of ferocious storms, fearsome pirate gangs, and long-forgotten curses. The captain's schemes are well-renowned for going awry, but adventure calls, as does the rumor of a great and powerful treasure.
So, that is the Legend of Gallows End, an RPG Zine. I don't want to get attacked for saying that. It is a one-shot sky pirate adventure. Now, the Legend of Gallows End began life as a small home game that they played with their family. So it was like a small little game that they worked together, and they were all like new to role-playing games. So what they've done with this is they've made it system neutral. So it's whatever system works for whoever wants to run it. And so it's accessible to all game formats and levels, by focusing on the story and characters rather than stats and abilities. So it's more story heavy rather than mechanics. All of the art is hand inked art. So it is like got that really awesome style of like where the sidewalk ends, which I absolutely love. I love that kind of art style. It will feature 29 illustrations and over 20 pages of narrative adventure. It begins with a brief guide to running the game and an overview of the story and the world. So it has all of these different descriptions of these different places, different captains, different stories. The pages are split between simple instructions for the storyteller and also overviews for the scenes, character descriptions, and choices that your party can make. So it's more kind of leans on the line of choose your own adventure in a way, but surrounded by this really awesome Sky Pirate treasure format that really anyone can jump into and just enjoy. So that is The Legends of Gallows End, and I really think it's great for the beginning player. What do you think? 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Heck yes, give me a pirate RPG. Yes.
But also the art is so good.
The art's
and
awesome.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but the layout of the book is a graphic novel.
Yep.
Oh, yep. I already gave it 2, but 3.
Yeah.
I had
Toes. Two thumbs and toes.
They're
Yep.
including stickers.
And-
They're including all this kind of stuff. I had to with 2 minutes. You got to choose. You got to choose what you mention.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
really makes you cut down, for sure.
It really does.
Whew.
All right. Ready for the
Back
next
to
one.
Joe.
This is gonna be a tough sell, so I gotta get ready.
Uh-oh.
Lasuna. Read once and destroy. A contextual map of Blue City. Sinister secret agents and shadowy employers and mysterious pasts. A bizarre landscape built from 6 billion human minds, arachnid-headed beings that guard a war-torn border zone, and all the worst that mankind has to offer, stalking the alleys and crumbling buildings of a place called Blue City. Blue City is the brainchild of Jared Sorensen, who is one of the godfathers of indie RPGs, okay? And he has presented this really fascinating concept called Lucerna Read Once and Destroy. So he is so secretive about what this RPG is all about and how it plays, but he kind of tells you that it is a 40-page guide of Blue City and the 25 districts that it makes up. So it's basically like this big contextualized map. And then he says, like, he's like frequently asked questions, and he's like, what is this? And he's like, I'm not telling you. But it's such an amazing thing because there's like this destruction aspect to it where it's like so Blade Runner dystopian secretive government agency. Like it has such a weird, cool, unique concept that like a game that you're destroying as you play because people are chasing after you and you are on the run and the information that you have is so highly coveted. This is a game that I feel like for the price that what you're going to pay for this is totally worth taking a chance on. I'm going to say this is a risky investment, but one that I think is either going to pay off big time. This is your GameStop stock of tabletop RPG zines that you can get this month.
Okay.
Are you risking it big on Lucerna Read Once and Destroy? 3, 2, 1.
I'm halfway.
I'm in.
I'm halfway.
I'm intrigued.
I am actually. I'm more like at a 45-degree angle towards.
I mean, worst case scenario, you have a city, right?
Yeah.
That you can use.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I'll say. I'll say this, Alex. This seems very similar to Project 8 Ball.
Yep.
But I think that they did a better job selling me on the mystery. It didn't feel like they left it out or forgot to tell me. It feels like they are intentionally leaving me wanting more. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think it could do with a little. I want a little bit more just to get a little bit more context.
Alex, can I say one sentence and see if I can move your thumb to a full up? Is it a dream? Is it a nightmare? Or is it just a game? And are you already playing?
Cue the existential crisis.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Fourth
right.
wall breaking
All right.
in an RPG. Okay.
I'm gonna go have my existential crisis now. I'll talk to you all later.
Are we already playing? Maybe we're playing right now.
The Matrix.
I like it. I like it. I'm
All right.
intrigued.
All right,
I'm
that
in.
did make me more intrigued.
Yep. Yep. Guys, my next one. You're not gonna believe it. This zine has $15,000 raised for it. I just wanna lead with that. They were asking for 500. They have 15,000. I just want to say, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my one freebie here. Okay, here we go. My next one is The Vast in the Dark, exploring ruins in an infinite world. So the sky is as black as night, and tectonic rumbling can be heard overhead. The ruins sprawl out in fractal madness, their shapes incoherent and puzzling. And a vast sea of colorless sand stretches out into the darkness, broken only by the titanic pillars that disappear impossibly into the lightless sky. This is the vast, a realm hidden far away from our own, always waning and on the verge of collapse. It is host to countless lost souls and alien treasures, hidden within its crumbling ruins. So this RPG is for the world's greatest role-playing game, D&D, and I think you could probably make it work with any of the versions of it. But it's essentially a role setting. So this setting is just ruins. As far as you can see, they don't make any sense. They're like got alien flavor to them. They're strange and like magical items that almost don't even make sense, but the world itself doesn't even make sense. So you're constantly exploring and trying to understand. And if that sounds entirely too complicated for DMs, don't worry. They give you a no prep world generation. That's the main goal of this zine, is to make this as seamless as possible for GMs. So it's a massive hex crawl map, a local area within each hex, and the dungeon complexes with those smaller local areas quickly and easily enough that you can do it on the fly. So each hex is its own little dungeon adventure, and you just put them together, and it just goes on and on and on, and that is the vast in the dark. So, intrigued enough to want more? That is the question. Thumbs up, thumbs down. 3, 2, 1.
This is cool.
This is so cool. Yeah.
This is cool. It reminds me of maybe, what was it, Alien versus Predator, or like Prometheus, where you're finding those really old structures, like alien structures, and you're going through like the really cool, like where they find that old Predator temple under the ice, and you're going through that. It reminds me of that.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing, and it's different, and it's literally just an infinite dungeon crawl kind of a feel to it with different kinds of runes. So
I mean, good luck DMing something like that, but for sure, like it sounds
and
cool.
That's exactly I was the same way until they were like, nope, we've got you covered. We're going to do it. You can literally just put these together on the fly, these hexes, and I was like, all right, I give it a try, see how no prep it is. Feel like there might be a little more prep than what maybe they think, but I give it a try. I thought it looked super cool. $15,000.
That's a lot of dollars. It's a lot of doll hairs. Alrighty, so I'm going to take us in another direction into a zine. Don't get mad at me from earlier. Called Castaway. Now, Castaway, do you have what it takes to brave the wilderness? See for yourself in the new tabletop survival RPG by the Afterthought Committee. So, there's been a terrible accident. You're all alone in the wilderness, frightened, hungry, in need of rescue. Will you find food, water, shelter, or death, danger, and despair? Do you have what it takes to survive? Castaway is a tabletop survival RPG inviting harrowing tales of resilience to your gaming table. and they have a rules light system which allows you and your friends to easily play. So this is essentially like TTRPG Lite, allowing people to get into it with a concept of survival based on essentially the popularity of games called I'm trying to think of like I believe it's called The Island. There's Raft. There's all these video games where you're essentially just surviving and building things and trying to find food. So what makes it light? And that is they use a shrinking dice format. So essentially what that means is a well-fed, rested survivor who's doing well, not injured, will be rolling for D12s, for rolling a D12 for their rolls if they want to do something, complete something, hunt something, build something. But if you're a survivor at death's door and you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're rolling D4s. So you need to be able to consistently find ways to essentially keep that health bar up, keep that status bar up, to continuously find ways to survive and escape where you are. I think this is super interesting, super easy, super quick, and it's something that you can go, yeah, you know what? I have friends who are just getting into TTRPGs. This is something that the concept is not super far out there. Yes, castaway scenario. Sweet. Okay, I get it. I roll lower dice when I'm hurting. Completely get that. Super easy to get into it. This looks really cool. I think that the way they've set this up looks great, and I think that people will really enjoy it if it's a great gateway TTRPG game. So that is Castaway. What do we think? 3, 2, 1. No? I didn't get you, Joe?
I hate survival games. It's nothing against you, nothing against that. I like my players to be heroes. I do not like them fighting for survival.
My heart. Oh, you hurt me, Joe. You hurt me. I love survival games. I love them. The Long Dark is one of my favorite games. I don't know if you play that. It's like an indie survivalish kind of game. Love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm in for this. This sounds so much fun. And I love diminishing dice. I've never heard of that. I'm going to use that in D&D cool? now. Instead of like the normal exhaustion system, I think I'm going to use diminishing dice. I love it.
Yeah, diminishing dice, I thought that was really clever and something that people can just get. Like, okay, that completely makes sense. I'm hurt, so I roll less.
Yeah.
Got it.
Love it. So the one with the less numbers. That's the one I roll now. Yeah.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So next one is, I think, an easy sale. Tales of the Glass Gnomes. Discover the elusive glass gnomes, a reclusive community of glass blowers living in the desert. This is a lore zine and is a plug-and-play race and civilization that you can put into your game. Basically, what it is you're just getting this race of glass blower gnomes to just create this really cool, unique civilization that you just drop into your homebrew D&D world. You just take it and say, hey, you come across this civilization of glass gnomes living in the mountains, all right? What you're going to get in this lore zine is it includes the salamander and the genie, which is the how the glass blowers came to be. It's like their mythology, basically. It's like this beautiful prosed ancient story, kind of Beowulfy, but it's basically like the dawn of their civilization. It's going to give you the maps of the mine shaft, details on the mighty glass forge and the magnificent lantern hall and their advanced astronomy lab. All of these really cool things are like a part of their civilization. It's going to give you descriptions of the most illustrious members of the civilization, unconventional inventions, legendary artifacts, glass formulas so you can put glass blowing into your own campaign and give your characters glass weapons and glass types of artifacts that they can have, a table of hooks and stories so that you can give your players prompts as they head into the mine shaft to visit these gnomes. And then there are, of course, different wild beasts and things that they put in here. So basically they've taken everything that you would get in like a DM's guide, but all just based upon this really cool, unique idea of a civilization. And I really like the idea of these gnomes forging things in glass in the heart of a mountain. I love it so much. Why would you not back this? This is just such a cool thing for a DM to be like a plug and play civilization. It's beautiful. 3, 2, 1.
It sounds way cooler than what I thought when you first said it.
I would agree, and this is why I'm halfway. Because looking at the page, I feel like this should not be black and white. This needs to. I am picturing stained glass, a beautiful glass, textures, color. I want to be wowed by that. And I'm thinking, like, for the Wanderer's Guide, right? Big sprawling pages of art. Can you just imagine opening up to a page of an entire civilization of people that have just made everything out of beautiful color textured glass, stained glass, beautiful glass blowing technology? Like, that's what I want. Like, that would be,
yes.
Alex?
Yes, that would be amazing.
That is totally valid, and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I want that now. I didn't know I wanted this before this moment. Now it's all I want.
Like,
but
come on.
I'm still in because, man, a
I'm
zine
still
that's just like,
into, but
here's
listen.
it's just like, here's a cool, unique idea for a civilization that you
Yeah.
can just drop into your game.
You know what it sounds like they did, though? It sounds like they went through Xanathar's and looked at all the tools and went, what is the one tool that no one will ever use? I want to make it awesome. And they went, Glassblower's Kit. Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
Which is not a bad idea.
No, it's not. I
It's
appreciate
not.
it. I
You
really
gotta go
do.
far. You gotta go
appreciate it.
into it. I want to
Yeah.
see I want to see them push it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So cool. All right, on to mine. Where we went from beautiful blown glass. Now we're going to go to the slough. So we have slough.
You're
Cool.
wasting your time.
No, I'm sorry. So stories from the whatever it is. This is a hex, another hex one. So like the other one where you have, if you looked at the map, you've got hexes, right? Each one of these hexes has its own unique story, has its own NPCs, it has its own timelines, it has everything that you need for like a session quest, side quest, heck, even main quests if you wanted to put them all together. It has everything that you need in each one of these. You can disconnect them, you can use them for whatever you want, and all of them have some really cool things with them. They have some different monsters. They've been working on this one for a really, really long time. So it's 19 hexes to explore. Each one is a mile-wide spread in a swamp, and it requires 1 hour to trudge through. It's got 2 dungeons. Each one takes only a page for the map and a few pages for the content. A witch's cavern is larger in the inside, and a gaping wound that leads to a behemoth that rots underneath the swamp. So what you're going to get in this is some really unique places, like the Rot Garden that has a necrotic tree. You're going to get some really unique monsters, all of them to do with this swamp, which I think is a very underutilized thing in RPGs. We go to deserts, we go to forests, we do things like that, but there's not any really good swampy things. And so this kind of has that the thing feel to it. Like it came from the swamp thing. It has like that kind of a feel to it, which I think is super fun and could be used in pretty much any kind of RPG. Just some really awesome ideas and creative monsters and scenarios. So, stories from the slough. 3, 2, 1.
I want to go.
Oh,
I know, right? That's pretty cool.
I want you to take one guess at what sold me on this project.
Was it the
Was
map?
the map.
Was it that cool map?
Was it the map?
It's a really cool map,
It's a
guys.
cool map.
Yeah,
It's
and
the
it's
map.
so simple. And Joe loves the map. It's so simplistic too. It's minimalist in its style, and yet you know exactly what is in that hex when you look at it. I mean, you've got those giant mushrooms in one of them. You've got just literally the long, like Loch Ness looking thing in one of them. I'm
looks sweet.
in. It looks so cool.
It looks really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm taking us back into outer space and into something called Menagerie of the Void. Guide ancient unreasonable machines to preserve a strange assortment of alien beings. A ZINEQUEST single-player game. In outer space, Zoo Tycoon. That's what this is. Okay?
Oh.
It's a one-player story game. You play as the keeper of an ancient menagerie created by a long-gone society and still operating. You create the story as you play, writing down some details, deciding on how to care for the exhibits, and drawing cards to see what happens next. Takes about an hour to play. 25 A5 or 22 A5 pages, just some index cards, and a regular deck of playing cards. Okay? Regular deck of playing cards. So, you are the pilot of humanity's second faster-than-light ship, reaching into interstellar space, ready to explore the great dark unknown. Something malfunctioned. The stars are wrong. And through the window, you can see an old, dusty planet from which a beam of light emerges to engulf your ship, and an alien presence integrates with your systems. Your gut lurches as you lose and regain consciousness. Now you are standing in a hall of groaning, rusty engines. A dead creature lying on the floor before you, old and dry. A burst of pain as a metallic arm retreats from your head, having implanted a cybernetic module in your brain. Through it, these old automated systems speak to you.
A new zookeeper has been acquired.
Come on. That sounds awesome, guys.
Ooh.
So, this essentially, I loved Zoo Tycoon.
The collector vibes.
This sounds so cool. You essentially make all of using the cards, you're drawing out the pens. You're doing everything you would in like a Zoo Tycoon, and drawing the cards essentially dictates what happens.
2 minutes.
I want this as a video game. So bad.
3, 2, 1. Oh, come on, Joe.
The reason I think I'm not completely swayed is because this is a solo one, right? So it's like a journaling thing. And so like I look at this and I'm like, this would be great with like a DM, like creating these like crazy things and throwing them at the players, right? But I'm like, as a solo experience, like I wonder how like it kind of puts a lot of pressure on myself to just like sit alone and be creative.
So what if, and I'm going to put this out there, what if you made them make the decisions and they write it down and you are just flipping the cards and dictating what happens? You could integrate this into a full story with other players.
That's intriguing.
Easily.
See, I don't normally like the single player stuff, but I'm kind of into this one because it's like organizational and like it's managing systems, and that sounds so nerdy now that I'm saying it.
It's also like a random.
I'm into it.
They're using the playing cards to randomly generate what happens.
Yeah.
So every situation is not going to be.
So I don't have to come up with
the same.
everything.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think this seems
I'm
really
down.
fun. So that is through our second half. We have one more third to go. Or 2/3 of the way through. We're going to take another break. It's definitely a marathon, but we are going to take a quick break for about a minute and a quick word from something that is near and dear to our hearts.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the Game Master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
All right, guys, we're back at Roll for Review, and we've got a bunch more zines that we're going to get through. Hannah's had her
Final
energy
stretch.
pizza. We are ready to go.
Energy pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Hannah
National
carbo loaded.
Pizza Day.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know, and you're joining us.
That
I'm
makes so
trying
much
to do a
sense.
pizza sponsorship here, so you know.
Hannah's carbo loading
Yeah.
because of the marathon that we're in.
Yeah,
Get it?
hey,
So
works.
that's the thing.
It's like you're doing what Michael did. You're having pizza for a marathon. He had what was
Fettuccine.
it? Fettuccine. Yeah.
Fettuccine.
Fettuccine Alfredo.
All right.
Oh god. All right, Joe.
I need to get my timer.
Yeah, timer. Here we go. 2 minutes.
Ready?
Go.
Grasping Nettles, a storytelling game of building worlds and tackling problems through generations. So now here's the thing. You decide what the size of your community is going to be in Grasping Nettles, but what this is going to be is a GM-less cooperative experience to build a town or city, but you are going to move it through several generations and deal with all of the problems that come up as you're doing this cooperatively as a group. So, a couple rules. The community is not a monolith. It will be rife with different factions, each with their own goals, dreams, and visions for what the town should be. The community will face issues both big and small, and there is never a clean way to deal with them. And in the community live notable people whose stories will be told, and just as many working towards great things without the level of recognition. While there are many notable people at any given time, the community lasts longer than any of them and will move forward as time passes them by. So what you're doing is you're creating these characters, and you have this really interesting like wheel that you're like rotating these characters around, and you roll a dice, and that shows where the character that you've created will move to. And where it moves to basically will create a scenario or something that happens. So maybe the season will change, or you will add an issue, or he will change factions from one side to another, but once all of the pieces basically get to generation advance, you move to the next generation and create all of the next ancestry legacy characters that are moving on to the next generation. And you continue to do this until you've built this story of this like really unique thing. I think this is a really interesting project because it basically creates like story-driven conflict and resolution and makes you a better world builder and storyteller for like developing like really like niche-y type things that you might put into your scenario. It's a very weird concept, but I am out of time. So I only get that much time to tell you about it, but I could talk about this for a while because this is a deep one. I think there's a lot of depth here. It's hard to get out in 2 minutes, but did I do it? Did I do my job? Did I sell this to you in 2 minutes? 1, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Seems like a long play.
Yeah, I'm short. I can't reach things that are that high shelf. Yeah.
I think this would be
against it. Nothing against it.
No, I don't understand.
I think this would be a lot of fun if like the three of us had like a whole Saturday where we got a bunch of pizza, pull this out,
I'm in.
and just decided that like we're gonna work through this and we're just gonna tell the story. Like just get into the mind frame of like we're going to start a town and tell its story. And that's like to me, I'm like, what an interesting concept.
I'm in for the pizza. It's
Well.
not that.
I think it's
like,
yeah. You know,
All right. I got it. It's fine.
Joe, here's the thing.
It was the furthest reach.
It was,
for
but
all of
this-
the ones that I picked.
This is why I am not surprised that this is a Joe pick, because Joe, you love in the tabletop world, you love economy games. You love games that are like. Don't you love like really long kind of games that involve a lot of planning, a lot of doing that kind of thing? That's your bag. Like that is your thing. So I know this is definitely a Joe pick.
And as a DM,
I'm action oriented.
And as a DM, oh my god, I could care less about the rules. I just want to tell a cool story. As a dungeon master, my number one priority is telling a really cool story. The rules be damned. In fact, I have a very rules lawyery player that gets mad at me sometimes because like I'll just have a player be like, oh, I want to switch weapons. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? It makes sense that you could do that. And he's like, well, technically he needs to take like an action to do, and I'm like, I don't care.
To sheath a weapon is a bonus action. To retrieve it is a bonus action. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the game.
I feel it. I'm an act. There's a running joke that I'm a halfling barbarian. Like I'm not strategy. I don't think. It's just action. That's what I like. So that's why it's kind of like for me. But strategy people, I bet that's like a chess game in an RPG, which is
it does. It seems like a chess game.
That's cool. That's cool. It's just not my cup of tea. The next one is, however, very much my cup of tea. So my next one is, timer started, The Haunted Hamlet and Other Hexes. So again, this is third in the row of this hex building thing, but these are hexes. This zine is filled with hexes that you can put into your RPG. Doesn't matter if it's a hex system or not, because you can just kind of, make it into whatever it is that you're using. But each one of these hexes is a full and complete story, and this is so cool. Each one of these, get this, each one of these includes a timeline of events, hooks for your players, magical creature generator, a map of the Hat Cult's hideout. This is a specific example, and I'll get into that. Stats for the cultist, prompts and resolutions for what's happening, takes the players in different directions, a what's currently going on table, a list of magical headwear, and artwork, all for each one of these hexes. They give one example that I think is just so creative and so much fun. This wizard's apprentice got upset that his master wasn't using this magical device that he created that can merge two beings together. So he stole it along with an assortment of magical hats and is currently hiding out in a cave. Over the years, villagers went to the cave and they've kind of created this cult where they have been experimenting with merging creatures together. So the woods is now full with these strange merged animals that they kind of put together and then let go. And each time a new member comes into the cult, they get a magical hat. That is why it's called the Cult of the Magical Hats. And so your players essentially are trying to protect the village from all of these crazy monsters, and they have to deal with this cult and what they're trying to do. That's just one hex. There are tons and tons more, all with the same ideas and like concepts in there of timelines and NPCs and all that fun stuff. This is literally just a book full of fun ideas. So would you back this wacky, wonderful, haunted Hamlet hex style zine? 3, 2, 1. Yeah,
This art
it's
is
so
awesome.
cool.
This art
Okay.
alone is awesome.
Two things. It's OSE instead of 5e, which is just kind of annoying, just a little annoying. But here's the real question. What animals would you guys merge together? Because I would make a moose duck. Moose duck all the way. Moose duck.
How? Wow.
As soon as you said it, I was
That's
like,
an odd
big as a moose, but it's mostly duck. Big old razor bill, horns.
Just
like,
a giant duck with giant horns.
Yeah, just like flapping around,
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
but like 4 legs too, like a moose. So it has
Could
like
you
4
imagine
flappers.
the size? It has to be the size of a moose, though, because could you
Yeah.
imagine a quack creating existential dread in your players? You just hear this quack.
Yeah, I 100%.
Yes, and I was thinking this already fits into D&D. You have things like owl bears.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how owl bears happened. They merged them together,
Just like
Owl.
there it is.
Yeah, so cool.
They
Such a
get
cool
real
concept. And that's just one of them. Like, I love, so a lot of times they don't put in examples because they don't want to give too much away, right? This one, they didn't care. They're just like, here's the entire, like, quest. And steal it if you want to. We've got a whole bunch more. And for me, I'm so backing this because these are quality. I love it. So creative. Super cool.
Love it.
Also,
that is really cool.
$10,000.
Yeah, I was just looking at that number. And I was
Yeah,
like,
did you see that? $10,000. Almost $11,000
Jeez.
earned on that one.
good for them.
Well done. Well done.
That's awesome. Well, I'm taking you to a place that might be familiar for some. This is called Paranormal Inc. And there's one thing that might put you guys against me, and it's the very first words here, but I need you to consider this of where this story is coming from. A GM-less role-playing game about struggling paranormal investigators. One day, the dead started returning to haunt the living. This was, as you would expect, somewhat disruptive to society. People started looking for ways to get rid of the ghost nuisance in their lives. Requests for paranormal investigators skyrocketed. But times change, people adapt. Now you're a struggling paranormal investigator with Paranormal Inc., doing your best to keep the equipment working, the lights on, and your belly full. So this is a GM-less tabletop role-playing game for 2 to 5 players, and it uses a standard deck of cards and some 6-sided dice to generate a world for you and solve mysteries in. It's about solving mysteries, struggling under capitalism, and making connections with living and dead alike. It's a game about pushing through your own personal hauntings to help others. So it's taken from inspiration from things like Scooby-Doo, Mystery Inc. It's all about solving mysteries and working together, and this is a very family-oriented game. And I think this is great for example, Joe, you and your daughter and your wife sitting down and playing this fun game. So that's about solving mysteries, a little like Scooby-Doo. And it's about 40 to 50 pages, and they include ways to actually make your own mysteries, and they include some other ones, for example, haunting at the Haverdash Hotel, a classic haunted house story set in a hotel, explore the hotel, uncover grisly murders, and catch ghosts. Midnight Feast is a family-friendly mystery in the vein of Scooby-Doo. Something is keeping everyone up at night, making a racket in the alleyways, and it's got to go. Can you solve the case and bring the neighborhood some peace and quiet? I think this is a lot of fun. I think it's super cute, and I think great for families getting into this sort of thing. What do you think of Paranormal Inc? 3, 2, 1. Not for you, Joe?
Too real life. Too much struggling. I don't like the whole, like, I love that they made it a part of it. I love that they made it a part of it, but I hated the whole, like, oh, you're like a struggling to pay your bills and stuff like that. I'm like that.
I don't have to roll for that. I don't need to be reminded of that.
Like, is there a student loan mechanism in there? Like,
oh no.
When you play the game of life, but with ghosts.
Too much truth made myself sad. No, I liked the idea because I know a lot of people that struggle to find a GM to run games. Like it's not easy. You can always find players, but it's really hard to find GMs. So it's an interesting idea to have no GM in a game. And I don't know how that would work. And I'm kind of intrigued by it. So I think that's my main reason for, yeah, it seems like a fun, lighthearted little thing to play. And I'm intrigued by the concept of not having a GM.
I feel like it's going to work like the Menagerie of the Void, where you're using decks of cards to randomly generate scenarios. I feel like that's where it's at. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. Bimblebottom's Book of Bits and Bobs.
Ah, you almost had it.
10 times fast.
The Ramblings of an Eccentric Gnomish Artificer. So if you have the WotC book, Mordecai's Tome of Foes, it basically is written as like this like really intelligent like person who like wrote all of these like really in-depth essays on on like different monsters and stuff like that in the world of D&D, but then he like gave it to an editor who like was like, oh, you're wrong about this. So it has like lots of like note stuff in the margins. It's a really fun book to read because of the way that it's written, and this really like harkens to that concept because this is written in like the ramblings of this eccentric gnomish artificer. And I love that like how it talks about them, that he's like an expert on all things magic. He's like super enthusiastic. It's just like potions, right? And he has all of these like cool concepts and things. Like I love what this is. It's gonna give you it's a tool for DMs and players to expand the options and customizations that they can fashion, all written through this. It's really meant to be used in worlds of high magic. So you're talking about, Forgotten Realms style of play. 5 subclasses are a part of this: spells, feats, item crafting rules. Here's the number one. Here's the selling point, I think. A magic item naming table. So you can roll tables for naming magic items, which I love.
Oh my
It
gosh.
has different descriptions of like metals and their different kind of uses in the world and how you can use them as magical artifacts and stuff like that, or I'm sorry, magical components. I think that there's a lot that they're trying to shove in here, but I love the concept that they're going with it, as it's like written through the eyes and words of this like really eccentric gnomish artificer, which is just like a really cool concept to like lean into a D&D supplement. Is it's not just written to be rules, it's written to be fun to read, which is something that I really like. 3, 2, 1.
I think it sounds fun.
Reluctant thumbs up from you.
Yeah.
I don't see the need. That's my big thing. And maybe I just haven't looked into it enough, but I'm like, I've got a lot of resources that I'm already struggling to use all in, so I'm like,
I don't even know that I would use this. I think I would have fun reading it.
Fair.
That's
fair.
and for, you know, I didn't even look at the cost of it, but like for how much it probably cost, like it's probably a fun thing to read, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, it might give you a really cool NPC.
You know,
Thimblebob.
That's honestly that's
true.
what I was thinking.
That's true. You know what would be super actually probably more fun? I would read like a little actual magazine written by this dude. Like, could you imagine like having a little like newsletter or
like
something that you could subscribe to that's just like fun random things?
It
and
sounds like the
talking about it.
Quibbler from Harry
I'm
Potter.
more interested in that. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
I'd
like
be
the
more
Quibbler from Harry Potter or the Fantastic Beasts book.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah. But, you know, designed to be useful.
Yes.
Yeah. Not that that isn't. That sounded weird. Anyway. All right, my next one is The House of the Hollow. So The House of the Hollow is a one-shot adventure in zine form for a tabletop role-playing game, Morkborg. Inside players will investigate a mysterious moonlit manor, home to a retired adventurer in the midst of a terrible transformation. On the brink of collapse, navigating the decrepit house provides a challenge in and of itself, not to mention the moon-bound horrors lurking within the walls. A haunting revelation awaits travelers who enter the mansion, along with a powerful artifact ripe for the picking. So I am in love with this one because it gives me serious Fall of the House of Usher vibes. Just that creepy Edgar Allan Poe style of things. You get a complete adventure, and I'm going to read this because I love how they actually like say this. So what you'll find inside is a complete adventure for your doomed adventurers, original illustrations to inspire their demise, adventure hooks to get the blood flowing, horrifying creatures to challenge their sanity, puzzles to test their wits, and magic items to make it worth their while. I think that's so fun. This is definitely going to be a challenging one. It's going to be creepy. It's going to be fun. I love the idea of it being set within a mansion that they have to go through to get to this adventurer who has a horrible transformation occurring. They don't tell us exactly what that is, but I am intrigued enough to want to know what it is. I love that it's a one-shot adventure. It doesn't try to be more than what it is. This is a cool one-shot, perfect for Halloween. I would pick this up and save it, like read through it, save it for that. I think it just looks like so much fun. And I'm 100% in. How about you guys? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Answer one question for me.
Okay. I'm sure there's a map.
Thank you. Do you feel that this is something you could use in like regular 5e play as well as you could in something like more
heck yes. Heck yes.
Okay, then I'll give you the thumbs up
100%.
because I would love
You just
a
throw out
cool,
the
creepy
rules.
one shot. No,
Yeah.
because I am not in for Morkborg. I am 100%
Out.
anti-Morkborg. Anti-Morkborg. Zero
Gotcha.
interest in that as a
Gotcha.
system, as a concept, as everything. no interest, not my cup of tea, not what I want to do.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you one bit. I honestly was looking at this for 5e. I was gonna adapt it. I 100% like I want this, and I will adapt it, and it will be freaking amazing.
Yeah,
for
and that's the
Halloween.
thing.
And
Like,
it's gonna
just
happen.
yeah, you can like you can adapt anything. Like any of these things that are DCC, OSE, Morkborg, like they can all be adapted. Like just use your imagination. Don't like you don't have to have things written out for you. But I just felt like
never like disregard something because you see a system. Because you can always like systems are designed to kind of be interchangeable. Stories are the important thing, and I think this has such a cool story, such a cool concept that I'm 100% in.
All right. Speaking of cool stories, I'm gonna more go towards funny stories, or at least unique. All right. What I'm going to talk about is Vampire Cruise, a rules light OSR style adventure vacation. 30 pages of maps, mummies, mutiny, and every kind of vampire. So, the luxury death trip. You heard stories the ship was dredged from the sea floor, and they had to clear out buckets of drowned fish before building staterooms. Stories about the captain who's never seen before midnight. About the unsettling shape of the boxes that were loaded into the darkness of the lower decks. The crowd waiting to embark, but doesn't seem worried. And before you know it, you're relaxing by the pool, ocean sparkling all around, and you're not worried either. Until breakfast, when you share a table with the woman who told you all about the rumors. Now she's wearing a white silk robe and handing out pamphlets that say, "Is death real?" on the cover. And then you can't find your aunt, and you wake up woozy in your cabin clutching a note you don't remember writing that says, "Deck 13 at noon, bring something sharp." On the other hand, there's a ping pong tournament. Vampire Cruise, a supposedly fun thing you'll have to do for eternity. This seems so fun to me. It's a super rules light adventure in a 30th page zine. It's super fun. It really looks. It doesn't go into a ton more detail than that, but I think the idea for the adventure alone seems like it can be adapted for any type of rule set, including D&D. And I think, Joe, for example, you taking us on some sort of ship and it turns out it's like a vacation ship, but they're all vampires or something like this. Sounds like such a fun idea for a story. And it seems funny, it seems enjoyable, and it seems that you could take it in many different directions as whatever you want. I think the concept is just great. And then that's what I think is really carrying this idea is the fun concept. It had a goal of $600 and it's already hit 22,000. Not 22,000. Not 22. 2,200. 2,200.
I was like, that's the biggest one yet. No,
all right.
Okay.
All right. That's 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes.
That's 2 minutes. 3, 2, 1.
Heck yes.
This is so fun.
Oh
This is
my
funny.
gosh. And I'm in for, there's not enough modern day RPGs, and this is like the perfect way to do that blend. I think that's hilarious. By the way, did it really say drowned fish at the very beginning?
Oh my god.
Buckets of drowned fish. That's the creepiest part of this ship.
Wait.
That's the creepiest part.
I guess they were
drowned a fish.
I guess they were drowned when they got brought up because they're technically drowned by not being in water, right? Like because they brought the ship up. So when they got
Wouldn't that be
all the water.
That's a good question. Wait,
saying.
technically, if fish going into air, does that count as drowning for them?
We're getting too existential. I don't.
My brain.
Freaking me out.
It's like, is water wet? And I don't want to get into this.
I'm gonna be awake at 3 in the morning
Vampire Cruise.
thinking about that. Vampire Cruise sounds amazing.
Changing the subject.
From drowned fish? How dare you?
The lighthouse at the edge of the universe. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna start my timer because The lighthouse was an ordinary structure, except for the fact that it was balanced on the very edge of the universe. It had as some speculated, been standing since the universe began. Maintained by a solitary keeper, the lighthouse has been keeping travelers and spaceships from falling off the edge. Its steady beam can be seen galaxies away and is used as a guiding star for navigators. You are the current keeper of the lighthouse. Whatever happens, you must keep the light running. You and the lighthouse live perched on the edge of the universe. It is rocky, mostly barren place. where it is beaten by solar winds, sometimes run into by space whales. Not all of it is horrible, though. High in the top of the lighthouse, you get to witness strange lights dance, the solar winds whispering fortunes in your ears, shoals of skyfish migrating past. Maybe you'll find some solitude and peace in the under of the dark. Lonely sky, sometimes a lone traveler may even cross your path. The Lighthouse at the Edge of the Universe is a solo journaling RPG best played before you go to sleep. You are going to roll a dice, flip a card, that will assign you a task. Then you flip a coin, and you will decide how you go about performing that task, and you will record your duties as the lighthouse keeper. This is a very like calm, very like intuitive type of like solo journaling RPG. It's something that's just meant to be a fun mental exercise. And I love the concept of like you're just this lighthouse keeper. If you've ever seen like the movie The Lighthouse that came out a while ago, like the concept of just being a lighthouse keeper is so like wacky and interesting and like such a weird fun concept anyway. I think this would be something where there's going to be a lot of cool things that will be thrown at you, and you're just like sitting there deciding how you're going to go about it. So we've talked about a lot of solo RPGs. It sometimes is a tough sell, but is this one where you think you could decide how you want to run this lighthouse? Hannah giving it away. 3, 2, 1.
100%. So here's my thing. As someone who's definitely been getting into more like meditation and calming type stuff and loves astronomy, loves space, loves the stars, I love this idea, and my brain started going immediately into a bunch of places of how they could like incorporate a little mini lighthouse that's like on your dresser, and you like grab a card that's underneath it. It's like its own like tower, and you grab a card, and it's this whole, it lights, and as soon as you it sounds so amazing.
Here's what I would do. I would go to the 3rd floor of my house where there is nothing up there except for the guest room. I would put no lights, just one single light, turn on some ocean wave celestial soundscapey music, and sit there by the one solitaire light that's in there, and do this journaling activity and just get into my own brain with it. Like I would like be
put
like
on that like celestial light thing.
Here's why I'm like is because the good side of that could be really good, but the other side of that is how many existential crises am I going to have thinking about myself on the edge of the universe with nothing else around? Am I going to put myself into a depression or be happy? I don't know.
If you're not having an existential crisis at least once a day, are you even a millennial?
Are you even alive? I mean, how many have we had this episode? At least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Are we still playing that one game?
I mean, that's
are we playing that right now?
Yeah.
We should put a montage at the end of the month of moments of existential crises.
Yeah, it's just me like looking off at the side, like.
Like I could just see like
drown in air.
Before we even did the thing,
I need to know.
I saw the fear in Hannah's eyes as I finished describing this, and I like Hannah literally went like this. She went. I was just like, wow, okay,
that was fast.
I don't know.
It's deep-seated fears. I'm like, if it was literally on the ocean, if it was the opposite of space and in the ocean for me, I would have been a no, because I hate deep ocean and I would hate to be locked.
You don't get space whales.
But they crashed into the island, Joe.
I know.
I wish I could speak whale. Lucky. All right, we're going to go somewhere that will not give you an existential crisis. We are going to go to definitely Wizards. Reset, start my timer here. A game about not being a wizard. So this is a fun, wacky, comical, hilarious game where you are essentially are trying to fool everyone that you are a wizard, because in this world, in this society, the only ones who are allowed to practice magic are wizards, because they have studied, they know how to control it, and they're the only ones capable and licensed to be able to use magic. So if you, an innate magic user, aka think sorcerer, wants to use magic in the everyday world, perhaps get a job as a wizard, you're gonna have to pass the wizarding school challenges. So your party has completed the paperwork, you've passed the written test. Now you have to face the final challenge, completing the wizard certification practical exam. So the exam is a series of trials designed to test your magical competence, skill, and control. Your party must complete these challenges whilst keeping up the illusion that you are a wise and dignified wizard, not a ragtag bunch whose magic is anything but book learning. So this pairs some deception along with some what would only be super comical moments of you pretending like you learned these things from this book that everyone knows. So I'm just imagining a bunch of wizards like quoting something from a well-known book, and your group having to fake that they know what the heck is going on or what they're talking about. So you're going through these practical exams while trying to pretend that you are a wizard. And I just have to say that I love the cartoony art in this. So the instant wizard disguise kit is hilarious. So would you pass for a wizard, gentlemen? 3, 2, 1.
This
I'm
is
definitely
goofy.
a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like Goofy. Goofy's
Yeah,
fun.
it's just lighthearted and goofy fun. I feel like this would be absolutely hilarious. And I have some
It would be
players
funny.
who can come up with the craziest excuses for things. So I'm excited to play this. Really excited.
I'm
I
a
think
fan.
Alex is about to jump through the screen to talk about his next project.
I'm
though.
so excited about this one.
Okay.
So, as a
Got it.
big Disney fan, as you can tell,
Oh.
I have a whole Disney shelf back here. May I introduce Beakwood Bay, a Brindlewood Bay hack of adventurous mallards and the tales these ducks tell. Guess what? DuckTales! Woo! So, Beakwood Bay is a hack of cozy occult mystery RPG Brindlewood Bay, published by The Gauntlet. The game is focused on letting players roleplay as ducks in the mold of Carl Barks' and Don Rose's Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck comics, and also, most recently, DuckTales. One of my favorite cartoons growing up, and still a great show now. Play will revolve around going on harebrained adventures to gain treasure and protect plunder from nefarious forces, but the characters must be wary of letting their ill-begotten gold corrupt them and warp them into Scrooge-like figures. I love this idea just straight out of the gate because I want to play a DuckTales-inspired TTRPG. 100%. I'm going. Let's go. This sounds absolutely amazing. It's 32 pages, setting up information and a bunch of information and more. 10 Sasquatch Scout honors to customize your mallard based on their heroism and special skills that get them ready for treasure hunting. Customized character sheets. There are little. We're showing on the screen little animations that show you. You can put like mustaches, bow ties on your ducks. You're customizing all your ducks as you go through the adventure. It's oh my god, it is absolutely incredible. And I'm just picturing all of these episodes of DuckTales that I can now live out in the ways that I would want to, and just with all these characters that I grew up loving as a millennial in the 90s. So this I don't even care how it plays. I just want to play it, and I'm good. It's gonna happen. So there's honestly not that much more on the page, but yes, absolutely for me. What do you guys think? 3, 2, 1.
Yep. Oh yeah. Are you buying it? Am I buying it? When are we playing it?
Well, no, here's the thing. I will play this, but I've never seen DuckTales, so someone else has
Watch
to DM.
DuckTales. No, watch DuckTales. Go. You gotta watch
My
DuckTales.
heart.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Go watch
We have
DuckTales.
nothing more to talk about until you've watched it.
Until you watch DuckTales. So yeah, a
All
DuckTales inspired
of it.
zine sounds amazing. So
That's
yeah,
great.
that is
Love it.
Beakwood Bay if you're a millennial who loves those shows.
Shout out.
Our last projects, guys.
Last
this is
three.
It.
Last ones.
I'm so excited about this one. Old Roads is a zine of maps.
Oh,
It's
imagine
just
that.
maps. It is cover to cover maps. That's all it is. So this is a zine that is being made by Kyle Latino, who is a very well-known like D&D RPG cartographer. His work has been featured in tons of projects in the past. You can definitely watch the video and see a lot of the stuff that he has worked on. He's done a lot of graphic novel work, but what you're going to get in this zine is maps. Oh, but on some of the other pages, there will be maps. Also, he's going to give you maps. And so maps. He does these he does these really these isometric drawings that are just like very Where's Waldo filled with stuff, and I really love looking at those. Like those are some of my favorite types of maps to look at, is just the chock full of really cool stuff. And I'm just like looking at the images that I have here. There's like the 3D cutaway buildings, ladders going up, cages in this guardhouse, stairs going all over the place. There's some kind of nest with a bunch of eggs underneath this cliff. It's just like everywhere that you look and glance, every square is just filled with so many details. Boats traveling under these bridges, just so many different things. Mines with minecart rails going all over the place. I love maps. Everybody knows this. It's no secret. It's not a hidden thing about me. I am getting probably a little too excited about this RPG. I'm just gonna need to take a moment and like gather my composure, calm myself down, because maps. Very excited.
We need like a little theme song every time Joe brings us a Kickstarter that's maps. We need to play something.
Maps.
Look,
Maps.
there were a lot of zines that were very
Just you and I
map-focused.
singing it. We need to record it.
There were a lot of zines that were very map focused, right? Very map forward zines. I tried to limit myself to not just picking all of them. This was by far the coolest map zine that I've seen. It is just cover to cover isometric maps. Is this something that you would want to have in your collection? 3, 2, 1.
I mean, yeah, why not?
They would go on my wall.
Yeah.
Like, can you, like, if I had a game room
Ooh.
that was themed, these would go on the wall. 100%.
Well, then what you need to do, Alex, is you need to back it at the secret map level, which gives you an additional 11 by 8.5 map that has secret clues written in black light ink.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so now I'm making my game room an escape room
Yeah.
with those maps. Let's go. That's awesome.
Game within a game room.
Game within a game.
Inception.
And
Dun, 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 dun.
speaking
For the game
of,
to end, you have to escape.
speaking of escaping rooms via puzzles,
That's a pretty good segue, Joe. That's pretty good.
Good
'Cause
segue.
Because mine is Puzzle Dungeon. The Seer's Sanctum is my next one. And I wish I could say I saved the very, very best for last, but that's not necessarily true. But it's pretty useful. And I picked this one specifically because I'm not very good at puzzles, personally. I struggle with them. But this is a 10-room dungeon crawl where each room is a puzzle and the puzzles stack one on top of the other. So you use the items or the lore that you discover in one room to complete the next room, and then the next room and the next room. So it's a really cool, like cohesive puzzle that lets players discover their own solutions. And it has magic items and equipment that change how the players interact with their environments. This is a 4 to 6 hour one-shot if you just want to do this dungeon as a one-shot, or it can be a multiple session dungeon crawl for your players. So if you have something that's like an artifact that they're supposed to find in your campaign, or you have one of mine that I've used recently is that they're trying to get to the center of this cult to interrogate the leader of it, and they have to go through a series of different rooms to be able to do that. This is an excellent system. I like that this system is neutral. It is system neutral, which means it can be like kind of twisted and used in whatever system it is that you want to use. It gives you some examples of the different rooms and the different puzzles that you might encounter within this, and it's got that cool old school kind of style to it, like old school D&D art style, which I think is really fun. You can get it as a PDF, you can get a physical copy of it. It's got the maps in it of the dungeon itself. And overall, I think it's just a really neat resource to have on hand if you ever need it. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. 3, 2, 1.
Puzzles are the hardest thing for DMs to get. Like, why not have a book of them?
And Joe knows.
Literally, that you just have.
I specifically, I love puzzles. I asked, I was like, I love like escape room style puzzles. I love doing all this kind of stuff as one of Joe's players. Like, that's the kind of stuff. And I knew as soon as I said it, he was like, oh boy.
Well, Joe, here you go. This one's for you. And I mean, seriously, this is just such a great resource to literally just have on hand. Just buy this, download it, get a physical copy of it, whatever. Stick it in your binder because you never know when you might use this. And then if you're just tired of like coming up with stuff and you want to do like 3 or 4 sessions where you don't have to come up with anything, boom, throw this in here. Done. It's great. Love it.
Love it, love it. So
Love it.
we are now on our very last project for the stream,
Say it ain't so.
but I think we are ending strong. I'm gonna tell you a few words. Die Hard meets Alien. Okay? Dying Hard on Hard Light Station, a mothership adventure. Dying Hard on Hard Light Station is a new module for the Mothership sci-fi horror RPG. It's both an open-ended adventure and plug-and-play setting, so it fits into multiple settings. Envisioned as a cyberpunk Christmas mashup of Die Hard and Alien Resurrection. In the adventure, your team of grizzled PCs will be torn between saving friends locked up in the medtech facility or crawling to freedom in the vents of the corporate-controlled Hard Light Station, all while avoiding capture by the brutal Black Shield mercenary company. Unbeknownst to all, however, Black Shield's invasion has caused the containment protocols at the medtech facility to malfunction. Now, in the bowels of the station, something horrible has awoken, and after a long, torturous sleep, they hunger to feed. So this seems absolutely incredible. I think it provides you with multiple ways right off the bat to play this story. By combining 2 very well-known movies, you honestly already get an idea of how you want to play it, but now they're smashing 2 amazing properties together. So what's included in this is 3 or more fully mapped station locations, 3 original factions, Hard Light Station directory, a guidebook filled with shops, entertainment, NPCs, and jobs for your crew. So that it's fully fleshed out, custom art and professional design, and plus a whole ton more. The art is absolutely incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's designed to be played using the rules for Mothership, which is a game that is an award-winning game. And honestly,
Let's just vote.
let's vote on this because I think we all know what we want here. 3, 2, 1.
Hard.
We want this. We want this in our lives. 100%.
This is such a good idea.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So good.
amazing.
Bravo, David
Yeah.
Kenny. Bravo.
David Kenny, you nailed it. The art is incredible. The idea is incredible. And I mean, honestly, the cover itself is so amazing. Look at that. It's so good. It's so good. Oh my God. So yeah, that.
I am going to add up how much money I am going to be spending on zines, and I will let you guys. I have actually not at this moment backed any zine except for Bucket of Bolts, but I'm going to go through and back a bunch of zines, and I will let everyone know how much I've ended up spending on zines
Oh my gosh.
next episode, because Yeah, there's a couple in here that are just like too good to pass up. There's some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And here's the beauty, guys. All of the people watching Roll for Review, we only covered 30 out of 150 different zines,
150,
which a few things. Number one, the reason that you might want to subscribe to this show and tune in to like hear us talk about these things is because there's so much on Kickstarter. We're trying to bring you the best of what there is out there. We're trying to, it's our own personal taste mix. And you can see that we all voted on each other's projects and stuff like that. So we all have our own particular tastes and not everybody agrees, but we're bringing you what we feel is the best of out there. And we took the time to look at all 150 zines that have launched in 9 days. Most of you probably don't have the time to look at 15 zines a day and decide if you want to spend your money or not. So you can tune in, watch us talk about it, and decide whether or not you want to go spend your money on Kickstarter, if any of these ideas seemed like really cool things. But this has been a really fun episode. I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah,
This has been super
absolutely.
fun. And there were a bunch of them that we wanted to do that we didn't because we're just limited on time. So make sure to head on over to... Yeah, nobody wants that. So much pizza.
Easily could have picked 20. Easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Each of us. Yeah.
All right.
So make sure you head on over there. Support those people. A lot of effort went into these, and they're super cool. Yeah.
I think everybody, let's all go around and just say one project that out of all 30 projects that we talked about, what is the one project that most spoke to your soul that you just feel really, really strongly about? Hannah, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
How of course you are. Okay, so the one that speaks most to me, and it's funny because it's a goofy one. It's actually definitely Wizards. Definitely Wizards, the one where you're pretending to be a wizard and you're going through this whole thing. There's something so purely fun about it that it makes me smile goofily every time that I see it. And so that's my number one pick. The one that I would most definitely do is definitely Wizards.
Alex?
So I'm gonna give you two. My 100% pick is Dying Hard on Hard Light Station. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Yeah. It's hard to skip, but this is my one that is a surprise that I really am considering picking up, and that is The Lighthouse at the Edge of the Universe. I really liked that idea, and like I said, as someone who's getting into meditation and doing a lot of things during the day and putting it into this context of this role-playing game and really quieting everything down, and I'm a maker. I'm gonna make all this whole scene. I would make that whole scene for myself. And this sounds like something that would be so fun, so entertaining to just kind of end my day with, to, just work in this little space and be completely immersed. So that Lighthouse at the End of the Universe, Edge of the Universe is my honorable mention / I'm probably going to pick it up.
I didn't know you could do that.
My pick, The Legend of Gallows End. It's a mixture of the Shel Silverstein art style, the graphic novel interpretation of building an RPG book, which I love, the cool one-shot adventure of Sky Pirates. Like, everything about this makes me want to own this in my library. I didn't know that much about this going into the show, but looking at the page, listening to Alex talk about it, The Legend of Gallows End is 100% a for sure buy for me. So that is my pick of the night. So I so many cool projects though.
Yeah.
I'm also 100% picking up Glassblower Gnomes. Oh, there's so many good ones.
So many good. And we could talk for hours and hours and hours, but this has been our episode of Roll for Review for ZineQuest 3. Right? ZineQuest 3.
ZineQuest 3.
Nobody make fun of me for saying the other way of saying it earlier in the episode, but that has been our episode about ZineQuest 3. Thank you all so much. Join us next week, back to our original schedule of every other week for Roll for Review. You can find this on our YouTube channel, Roll for Review, and this video will stay up for the next 2 weeks. We will see you all in a week where we're getting back to our normal schedule. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Joe's Maps.